Hey everyone, thanks for coming on early to the webinar. We're going to get started here right now. As always, I try to keep these webinars kind of quick and to the point. I've never been a big believer in long, winded webinars per se. So let me first start off and introduce myself. My name is Ken French, and I think it's important you understand that I grew up in the insurance industry. My grandfather was in it. My father, my uncle, they were in it. I got pulled in the late 90s, and back then we used to have a family-owned business that was kind of like Western marketing. We didn't sell insurance, but our clients were independent agents who sold employee benefits, Medicare, life insurance, individual health insurance. We were a general agency, a wholesaler. And when I got involved in the company, obviously I was a young kid, and they kind of made me the technology guy for our agents. And in the beginning, back in the 90s, I used to go visit independent agents, small agencies. And, my first job was to tell them, look, maybe we need to get rid of this fax machine. It's time to get a scanner, to get a thing called email. And, these 100-page applications that you're faxing to Aetna and Blue Cross, we can scan those and email them and then fix a specific page if there's a problem with the scan. Anyway, that's how it started. And I remember there was a lot of angry people with me, at the end of the day, basically saying, I'll never change the way I'm doing this. I like faxing it. It's easier. I just stuff it in. I hit the number. But you know what? Long story short, those guys who didn't stop faxing, they weren't around 5 years later. And I think that that's what I've seen over the last 20 years is, everything's always evolving. And, for me, when I started off, it was email, it was faxing, then it started to turn into, websites. And that was my job at the company where I would help agents build their first websites. And obviously back in 2001, a website was just kind of like a one-page billboard that had your phone number and your address on it. So anyway, that was my role from about 2000 to 2008, 2009, is I would help our agents build their own websites. Even back then, some of the carriers started to develop some of those personalized URLs. I would help, agents build those into the sites. And I started to hire some IT people to help me build better websites. Well, to make a very, very long story short, in 2009, healthcare reform came. My father, my uncle, who had started the business in the 70s, they retired. They wanted to get out of it. They thought healthcare reform was the asteroid that was going to get rid of all the GAs. So they sold the business, they retired. And when they did that, I took my IT guys. We formed Snoozy Incorporated, and we kept doing what we were doing, which was building websites and helping agents with social media. So that's kind of what I do right now. That's my company. I've been doing this now for about 13 years. For those of you that use Western marketing, I have an alliance with them. If you're an active producer with them, we do offer some special promotions. So what I really want to talk about today, the kind of today's theme is, number one, you got to have a website. There's no arguing anymore. If you don't have a website, you're rolling the dice. Eventually, somebody's going to hold that against you, and they're not going to work with you. And it's probably going to cost you more than it would have cost to get a website. For me, I think what I try to say is that you got to have a strategy with this website. You can't just hope people find your site, because at this point, there's something like 250,000 independent insurance agent websites on the internet right now. So you can't just rely on SEO. I always find it funny when someone calls me up and says, yeah, I'd like a website, and if someone types in California life insurance, I would like to come up first. And I basically say, I can't work with you. You sound like a lunatic. And these people are dead serious. And I say, look, this is not what we do here. If I could just build a website and magically get you number one for California life insurance, I'd already be on the golf course, my friend. I would have already built 500 websites that were number one for each search term, sucked all the leads out and sold them. Not that simple. Maybe it was simple like that in 2001, but in 2023, you need to have what I call a usability strategy. So what we're going to talk about today are kind of three key strategies. And for everyone who's on today's call, make no mistake. Yes, I am technologically savvy, but I'm no dummy. I am still a huge believer that personal hands-on service and support is the key to success. I'm assuming most of you sell Medicare, life insurance, health insurance. Maybe a few of you get involved with income planning, annuities, property and casualty. But in general, the products that you're helping people with, there does need to be a relationship. I'm certainly not preaching that we're going to build this e-commerce website that people magically find and enroll without talking to you. That is the opposite of what I'm about. I'm a believer in customer service, in generating referrals, in generating cross sales. And what my message is today is that in 2023, you need to have a website, and you probably need to have an active social media presence, because this is going to bring you credibility. But you need to have it so that the website can service your clients when you're sleeping or when you're on vacation. And, I think I have a stat here somewhere later in the presentation. Maybe I can click to it real quick. Here it is. The number one reason given why a consumer found another insurance agent was they could not get in touch with their agent. And, we're in an age now where obviously everyone has a smartphone, and everybody can just kind of go to Google, type in your name if you're their agent. And if they can't find anything about you, or they can't get support, then they might find another agent who provides that. So, I think the first thing I want to talk about is branding yourself and making sure that you can pass that online background check, right? I mean, again, I've been doing this a long time. And when people call me up who are interested in a new website, I try to talk to them in a realistic kind of scenario thing. And, the first thing I tell them is the most likely scenario here, and this doesn't matter if you just started working the other day, you just got into the insurance business, or you've been in it for 35 years, is if somebody is interested in what you do, they are going to Google you. And they're going to kind of see that if you're legit or if there's complaints against you, right? So for me, that's always the first strategy when building the website. We need to make sure that when they come to your website, they immediately understand what your focus is and why they should work with you. So that means we need to have different pages on the site that tell people who you are. Maybe if you have employees or sub-agents, they should be on there too. We need to tell people what your process is, right? How's this going to go? And I know that sounds silly, but if you offer what I call, belly-to-belly meetings where you go and meet them at their home or a third-party location, or they can come to your office, you need to say, hey, we can meet privately, we can do a Zoom call, we can do a phone call. And you would be surprised how many agent websites I go to that make no mention of the process of doing business with this agent. As a consumer, that's something I'm interested in. Anyway, so we want to make sure we tell people about you, why they should work with you. Obviously, a good overview of the services you offer. But more importantly, we want to have some testimonials on there that, obviously people can review and learn, a little bit more about you. So here's an example of one of the clients I've been working with for a while. And, this gentleman focuses on Medicare, and certainly I work with agents who do all sorts of products. But I like this sample because it's very simple, and it kind of keys on a few of the things I just mentioned. So you can see that there is a section on here, why choose Harrison? And there's a simple page that obviously, introduces who Harry is and, his background and his mission. He certainly has the carriers he represents, and he has about 10 testimonials that, someone can kind of go through and get a sense of what problems has this guy solved? How many people has he taken to the finish line? And I think that's very, very important. Obviously, he does have a solution section that talks about, he does Medicare, he does dental and vision, he does life insurance. But in general, the branding on his site, in my opinion, is very strong. So again, somebody, maybe one of Harrison's clients needs help, or they were referred to him. Yeah, talk to Harrison. You're turning 65. He's the guy. They whip out their smartphone, they go to Google, they type in this guy's name. First thing that comes up is his website and his LinkedIn profile. So, I think that's one of the things I stress when I obviously talk with agents is let's be realistic of what's going on with the consumer out there. And, how are you projecting yourself when you're not sitting in front of the client? So to me, that's strategy number one we got to check off in 2023. If somebody Googles us, what comes up? Do we control the narrative? Do we present ourselves correctly? And do we obviously give them a way, to talk with us? And that's kind of the next step. Strategy 2, having the site being functional. Like I said at the beginning of this webinar, back in 2001, 2002, when I was building websites, they were like one page. It would have your office picture on there. It would have your address, your phone number, and maybe you had it like a request a quote button. That's all it had. Well, in 2023, your website can be incredibly functional. There's all sorts of tools we can build into it. And I think that's very important. Again, I still believe in personal hands-on selling, where you're going to actually meet with these people, chat with these people, educate them on their options, educate them on why they should work with you. But if before they're going to meet with you, they're going to check you out, or after they've met with you, they want to get a little bit more information, you need to be able to, supply that 24/7 support to them. So few things I'm suggesting you have on your website. Number one, they should be able to schedule a meeting with you. In today's world, no matter what you do, you can pretty much schedule something online. I just ordered food the other night. I went in to the website. I chose what I want. I scheduled when I was going to pick it up. 2 weeks ago, I had to go to the dentist. I had to schedule another appointment 6 months later. I just went on my phone, looked at this calendar, picked out a time, set it up. My point is the consumer, they do this in other industries, and it's becoming more and more of the norm. So giving the consumer the ability to see your calendar and to choose a time that they can talk with you, I think is becoming something that's pretty standard. You can easily go to a company like Calendly. They offer a scheduling software. It's free. You could sign up in 5 minutes after this webinar and have it running. So we'll look at some samples of that in a minute. Obviously too, after you've chatted with the consumer, you need to be able to have some good information about the products you're selling, whether it's FAQs, educational videos. These things, again, show you're the expert, but also allow the consumer to kind of play around and get an understanding of these things before and after they're chatting with you. And then I think most importantly, obviously there's a lot of these personalized URLs out there. I mentioned earlier in the webinar, I don't believe people are just going to go there, put in their zip code, pick a plan and buy it. But we live in a world where people like to kind of play around, and giving them the ability to see information on the product, to see pricing on the product, in my opinion, is going to encourage them to talk to you. So let's go back and take a look again at this one sample I was talking about. And, one of the things that this guy Harrison has right in the top right, a huge button. And, I told him I talk with Harrison probably once every 2 months. And, I told him this is a little bit too much, but he has this huge button, click here to schedule a meeting with me. Someone comes to the site, they click on it, they go right into his calendar. They can choose what kind of meeting to have with him, face to face, and then basically see his calendar, go into the day, pick a time, and schedule it right off his site in 2 minutes. He gets an email with obviously the meeting. It goes into his calendar. The people who scheduled the meeting, they get an email. It goes into their calendar. The Calendly will actually send a reminder to the consumer about the meeting. It's very structured, very systematic. Again, it's free. Everyone on today's call should probably research using this. 2, he has a whole resource section where the consumer can go in. They can look at, obviously, FAQs about the different coverages. He has educational CMS compliant videos about the different parts of Medicare and how it works. Of course, he also has what are called personalized URLs. I believe he uses a company called Integrity and uses a thing called the Medicare Center, where if you go into his Medicare shopping tool, you can put your zip code in, you can compare all his carriers and pricing. Obviously, he's got a few other standalone things like dental insurance and Discount RX cards, where again, you can go in and see specific information, about the products. My point, functional. The site is functional. And if we go back to that first slide, I was talking about we have to have a reason to send people to our websites. We cannot just say, oh, I'm building a website. Magically, all these people are going to find me. In the insurance industry, the people that are most successful is they generate referrals and they generate cross-selling, right? So when they're on your site doing stuff, maybe they see that you do annuities. Maybe they see that you do, property and casualty. Obviously, this guy, Harrison, I've worked with him. I've tried to help him get his meshes crisp. The first thing it says is, hey, we specialize in Ohio Medicare, right? So when you come to this site as a consumer, okay, this is what this guy does. But hey, he also does life insurance. Maybe I need help with a final expense plan, or maybe I need some, IUL for retirement. The key is he's getting people to the site to do things. So, that's kind of my thought on strategy 2. We need to have, before and after we meet with the people, tools on the site so that we can send them there to potentially do things. Number 3, once we've helped them and we've actually made the sale, we need to be able to help them as our clients and provide really good customer service. And the funny thing is most people, they'll tell me, look, I offer the greatest customer service you can imagine. I will bend over backwards for my clients 24/7. In my opinion, I believe these people, but at the end of the day, you eventually got to sleep. You eventually have to go on a vacation. You got to take a few minutes to yourself somewhere along the way, which is fine. And I think most of your clients understand that. But what I'm saying is in today's day and age, your website needs to help you with customer support. The client needs to, again, be able to go to the site to schedule a support meeting with you. Again, I can't stress enough. I went to this huge NAHU convention, and they were running numbers, and they kept saying it 100 times over. The number one reason agents are losing clients is because the client could not get in touch with the agent. And I always kind of say that to people who say, look, I don't need a website. I don't need anything. I say, look, if I'm your customer and I'm calling you and I'm getting a busy signal or I'm getting your voicemail, how else can you help me? And the reality is they can't. They don't have anything to help the client. If you're not picking up, I'm out of luck. And if I'm out of luck and I'm upset, I'm going to go find someone who can help me. So if you have a website where people can schedule a meeting with you, they feel better about this. Hey, my broker's not available at this second, but he's allowing me to schedule a meeting with him tomorrow at 10. I feel better. I'm on the path to get this fixed. So again, having your calendar on there, having a form where they can go in and update their contact information, if they've moved, all that kind of stuff, very, very important. And obviously, having information about the secondary products you offer, because cross-selling is really the key to success. So, just to kind of, again, review this one sample, one of the things I do with my clients is probably 2, 3, 4 times a year, we'll have strategy sessions. So I was talking to this guy, Harry, back in July, and I said, what's going on in the fourth quarter? Obviously, AEP's coming up here. What are you doing? What can I help you with? And he said, well, one of the things I've done for the last 15 years is every August, I do a huge mailer. I send out kind of a card to all of my clients, and I tell them, hey, if you have if you've moved, or if you've updated the drugs you're on, or the doctors that you see, I need to know that information. Fill out this form and scan it back to me. And he said, the problem is the last 5 years, it's gone from like 60% return to like 10% return of these things. And I'm getting frustrated. And I said to him, I go, well, you're doing it. I go, what you're doing is good. It's very good. You're touching your clients, but you're doing it like it's 2008. It's now 2022. So instead of making these people fill out some sort of form with a pencil and then somehow get it back to you, let's put on the card to go to your website and to go into the update your contact information page where they can just fill out the form. Or if they have to update their doctor and drug info, they can go in and type in their new drugs they're on or their new providers, and it'll just get emailed to you and them, and it'll be quicker. So this year we implemented that strategy, and he went from about 10% to about 80%. So this is kind of my point with what I've been getting at with these things is you got to have a game plan. I'm kind of almost tired of talking to agents who are kind of like, yeah, I need a website because I need leads. And it's like, well, that's great. I hope you get leads. But the way you're going to really get leads is to help people, right? There's no way you can jump ahead of working hard in this business. And I think the key is that if you can obviously educate people, provide really good customer service, and really help them, you're going to get referrals. You're going to get leads. And I think, it's great to have a website, and gosh, I hope you get leads, but I think the way you're going to really get a lot of referrals is to use your website and to have a game plan with it. And that's why I can't stress enough that, your website, it shouldn't just talk about products. The products they're not going to sell the consumer on working with you. All the agents in your area probably have the same products. So that's not a difference maker. But yourself and your team and your branding, that's going to be the difference maker. And having tools on here where the consumer can go play around before or after they chat with you, it creates a customer experience. And then obviously once, you've gotten them as a client and having tools on your site that they can do things, it's going to keep your retention high. And in my opinion, retention, referrals, these are the key to success in today's world. So, what I'm going to do is email over this webinar. You can go back and rewatch it. Just to kind of review real quick what I do. Again, I've been in this business since the late 90s. I've been obviously building websites and helping agents with social media, officially with Snoozy since 2009. If you guys get a chance, I would suggest checking out westernmarketing.snoozy.net. There you can kind of look at our pricing. Our website services are meant to be really simple. There's no setup cost. I'm a big believer in kind of proving to you that I mean business. And, step one is I would love to kind of set up a consultation with you, talk through your situation, talk through what you're trying to do. And if I can help you, I'll give you all the ideas I have. And, if you want to work with me, we'll set up an interview, probably about 30 to 45 minutes. We'll talk through your branding. We'll talk through sales technology. We'll talk through customer service. And then give me 4 days and I'll build you a site like Harrison's that incorporates it all for you. At that point, you haven't paid anything. If you're satisfied with what I come up with, you pay $69.99 a month for it. And then we're here to help you if you need changes and support on your site. So that's one of the things we do. We also offer a social media content service. It's for agents who understand the importance of using social media and posting good educational insurance content every day. They just don't have the time to do it themselves. We help you with Facebook, with LinkedIn, with Twitter. It includes getting you set up with pages for your agency. And basically, Monday through Friday, we post educational articles, updates, tips, videos for you to these pages so that if people do background check you and they do end up on your pages, they're going to see like, hey, every day this guy's posting educational content. If we look at Harrison's Facebook page, he is someone that we help. You can kind of see that each day, again, he's Medicare specific. We can certainly post life insurance, property and casualty, employee benefits. But you can see that every day this gentleman's posting really good educational content about the products. There was a reminder about AEP ending, earlier this week or last week. It just makes the consumer feel like this guy's dedicated. He's, obviously working hard and he's the expert. He's the guru in these products. So social media, it's not something we talked about too much today, but I think it's part of the big picture. So again, what I suggest is I'll email everyone here when we get off the phone. If you like what you see, I'll put a link to my calendar. I would be happy just to chat and just, kind of feel out if there is synergy. But during that call, we can review your product focus. We can review your selling style and how it's going. We can review your current web presence. I'll answer your questions. I'll review what I do, try to give you a few ideas. And if there's some synergy, maybe we can work together. All right. So guys, I appreciate your time. Hopefully I gave you a few things to think about today. I tried to keep this quick, and I look forward to talking to you. Thanks again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.